Yes.
Okay, good. Let's dive into it. And we're gonna do opening the meeting at 4:13 p.m. Glad to see everyone here. Let's do a roll call from our Secretary Treasurer, Sarah Catania.
President Vaccaro,
Present, of course.
Vice President DePicio,
She is dealing with breaking news, so she may be a little late.
Jennifer Ellis,
Here.
Laura Garcia,
Present.
Patty Gallagher, Newberry. Patty, you here? There you are. I see you. Do you want to say here or just wave? Patty's here. I see her.
Who's there?
I'm here.
Stephanie Overman,
Here.
Ernest Owens,
Present.
Michelle Watson.
She was also dealing with some breaking news, I believe. She sent a note. So moving along, thank you, Sarah. We need an approval of the minutes from the September 3rd board meeting. So a motion to approve those minutes. I know there was one note from Jennifer Ellis that was responded to by Caroline, just an update on that, right? So I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, minutes approved. And president's report, I want to keep this pretty on point, but it's been a busy couple weeks, right? We haven't had a long runway since the media fest and me taking the reins from Emily, but really great communication and work being done already. We had a really great discussion last night with the regional coordinator, so we're starting to get them on board and just to keep them informed of all the great things that are happening behind the scenes, which we'll share obviously throughout this meeting as well. So I appreciate Caroline, the staff, and the regional coordinators, and just all the committee chairs are just really getting a lot of things going right away. So, of course, you're going to hear from the ethics chairs, so we'll save the ethics committee notes for Dan and Chris. On the other committee fronts, we're going to roll out some information and news so we can update the press for education project through the journalism education committee. So that's coming out soon. Basically, that we're gonna, kind of revitalize, reinvigorate press for education, but we want membership, we want people involved, we want to get a list of people in their specialties to do some training and professional development videos and really get a lot of people fired up in a positive way about that. So more to come on that, that we really haven't started the process, but it's definitely when I left Media Fest, that was like the number one thing that people were really excited about, helping and steering in updated direction. So, Press for Education and the Education Committee got a lot of great things in store. Adam Senate and the Programming Committee has started to put together a calendar and list of items, obviously and especially on Zoom, but also starting to look at some in-person events in partnership with chapters around the country. Like I said, in Washington, and I've said it several times on different calls and such, there's incredible work going on across many of our chapters. So let's bring those to light. Let's partner with them. There was something that came in the other day from the University of Maryland and Sue, and I said, "Oh, this is great. Let's not only promote it. Let's try to partnership. Let's try to partner on it. Let's try to work together to help get more people there and just bring it to life using our ability to market and communicate. So anything that you have, it's really a call as well to our members and our chapter leaders. If there's something you have that you want help with promoting, if you want to get increased attendance digitally, if you want to, really get a lot of people in a physical space as well, if you're doing something in person, please reach out. I'm going to try to get in touch with every single president for all the chapters, both professional and student, but between now and the time I reach out and speak to you, if there's things that pop up, please let us know. We'd love to help partner, promote, amplify the communication and marketing because there's, again, just so many great things happening across SPJ. Let's bring it all to life and have Caroline, staff, myself all help. And Nicole as well. So Adam's working to create a list and a calendar, and not just the calendar that you see at the bottom of the newsletter. I mean, social graphics. I mean, taking a digital event and putting it into some systems to shoot out video and have highlights after the fact as well. Just because something happened doesn't mean we can't enjoy and learn from the great discussions that are going to happen as well. So there's a lot of, amplification is the word of both before, during, and after events. You may have seen a note that went out about the diversity committee. Michael Puente from the Headline Club in Chicago is the chair of the diversity committee. As I've said, and as Caroline has said, there's a commitment to the diversity fellowship and having that program, resurfaced in different ways and learning from the past times that had happened. And I know several people have expressed interest in being involved in that, Ernest Owens and Laura Garcia and many others as well. So we're excited for Michael and the rest of the committee folks to help steer it in the right direction, come up with new ideas. It's not just, hey, we have a committee for the sake of it. The charge to the committee is make sure that the leadership program, the fellowship for diversity is meaningful and impactful. Not that it just exists, but actually how are people going to benefit from it? So more to come on that as well. The On the community side, I know we said committees update, but community side, really great numbers out of the freelance community, really great, just big numbers there, right? So I want to make sure we give love to the communities that we have in SPJ, the international community, the freelance community. There's some other ones as well. They're a big part of this SPJ family, right? So I want to be able to promote that, and people find a home there. People find colleagues to work with and grow with and learn from. So there's more. I don't have an answer of what are we going to do to continue to push that, but I think there's a lot of benefit there, and just a big shout out to the freelance community's numbers are looking really good, and Nicole shared some notes with me about that. And I think there's so many freelancers out there that you have a home here. SPJ has a home for you, and that community is a place where you can learn and grow together and share ideas and notes and commentary. So there's a lot of great stuff to happen with that as we continue to push that and let people know that that exists. So on the partnership front, you may have seen the note that went out about our partnership with Emerson College and their marketing agency that they have there. So they're going to help us a bit on membership campaigns. I think there's several conversations to happen now, and as we roll up our sleeves and get a bit whiteboard scenario with them and start talking about what we need versus what they're able to help with versus what Caroline and Nadia and Jennifer can help us do on the HQ side. So it's definitely a true partnership as we figure out that. But we announced the fact that it's there. Now we have to get to work and facilitate. And on top of that, they'll help us, do some audits on our platforms and provide maybe some video and graphics as needed on certain events, and especially if we can plan in advance with that programming committee. So there's a lot to get to, but I am excited to work with Emerson, and it's a great school, obviously. So there's very skilled and talented and smart and hungry students that want to help us. So that'll be interesting. We have some other potential partnership things that are very much still conversational early on, having those discussions, Caroline, myself, and there's nothing else to share yet. Obviously, it's only been a couple weeks since Media Fest, really. So, or I guess little 3 weeks, right? So we hope to share much more in short order, but there's a lot of conversations still happening. So I've said it at Media Fest. I'll say it again. The power of partnership is really important. I think we can benefit from working with other education institutions, other journalism organizations, and so on. So we will share information about those things as they happen. Some of them may be tied to events. Some of them may be tied to conferences. Some of them may be tied to regional conferences or the Leadership Institute that I'm very invigorated and empowered to, get off the ground again, or many of our other committees. So there could be overlapping, putting these pieces of this puzzle together to benefit and kind of raise everybody at the same time. So each of these board meetings, you'll hear us talk about other hopeful partnerships and things to come. Do you now? I guess we should get into the ethics committee as well. So there's a major piece of what the ethics committee is going to look at with the board's buy-in and approval. And Dan and Chris are on this call to actually talk about the ability to just look at the code of ethics. And there's already notes flying around the gaggle and SPJ world of, well, don't look at it. Don't touch it. It's fine. No, all we're going to do is take a look at it. We're going to have a conversation about it. We're going to maybe revise it if the ethics committee decides to. But it's not just the ethics committee's say, right? It's our entire organization's say. It's the membership, it's the board, it's everybody who's a stakeholder, which is literally everybody on this call and beyond. And to have a conversation about it and have a lot of smart people come to the table and debate and look at it, simply just look at it is what we're talking about right now. So there's no, oh, we're going to rewrite the entire thing. Maybe they do nothing. So maybe there's just steps that need to be taken, as you know, Chris and Dan will outline in terms of timeline, in terms of process. I've seen all the warnings. Oh, it was a nightmare the last time we did this. Oh, you're gonna, you're gonna be glutton for punishment. Guys, girls, everybody, let's just have conversations. We're here to talk things out. Open dialogue and transparency amongst each other about why we would even go down this path is part of that process. They came to me as an ethics committee and as ethics co-chairs to say, let's look at this. Are you okay with it? And I said, I'm okay with it if the board's okay with it, if the members buy in. And it's purely right now a conversation on if we should even revise pieces of it, parts of it. So I just want to use that as my preamble for they're going to have a conversation. We're going to share everything up front. We want everybody to be involved. I saw a note today, hey, students should be involved. Okay, sure, no problem. Love to have students involved. It's important for students, especially the ones that are taking classes on ethics and journalism education. Great. We'll figure out a way to get them involved. Their voice matters too. So, yeah, I'm empowered when our committees say, hey, should we look at this? We have some ideas. Great. Let me help you facilitate the communication, the dialogue, and just get on the same page with everybody. And there's no wrong opinion. Everybody's opinion matters and counts. That's the best part about this. So with that, Dan Axelrod, Chris Roberts, would you like to share a brief overview, whatever type of overview you like, so that you can start to talk about this process as we discuss together?
I think Chris is here on the call.
Yeah,
Is he?
he's there.
Right
Okay,
here.
Chris, I'm going to let you lead it off, and if I have anything to add, I'll add.
Sure. I'm Chris Roberts. I'm an associate professor at the University of Alabama, newspaper guy for a long time before I became an academic. My mentor is Jay Black, who was on the committee in '96 that revised. I was on the 2014 committee that revised. And I think every decade, every 15 years, SPJ has been looking at the code, trying to keep it as relevant as possible as the media world and communication channels change. And that is what we are proposing is in 2014, AI was not a thing. In 2014, fake media, that phrase, that propagandistic phrase was not a thing. There were not some of the challenges that we face. And we just believe that it's time to take a look to see what may need to be updated, recognizing that the code is a general code that can be applied like O negative blood, if I've got my blood types right, in all situations across communication channels. Part of this, of course, is, as we did last time, making sure that everyone has a voice as the process occurs, as the writing occurs. We share drafts, we do the things before it goes up for a vote, this time by members and not necessarily the way it had been done in previous times. We have a pretty good ethics committee that we are assembling right now with this in mind that Dan has. And the other piece of this is if you click on a piece of the code right now on the website, you will see ideas and links to examples. And we think that is really important this time. And as we would work on any changes to it, or as we would continue with stuff that's already in the code, that we do a better job of documenting what we mean by this and how it plays out in good and bad examples, and be able to create a living document on the side that helps amplify what is currently just general things in the code. That's my speech.
I'll chime in briefly if there's time. It used to be axiomatic that people could have their own opinions, but not their own facts. And now we're living in a seemingly post-factual society. So we've put together, and I've sent it to the board with the exception of, I believe, Ernest and Stephanie, because my apologies, I didn't have your emails, but we'll rectify that shortly. The committee that has been recruited we have essentially some of the leading media ethicists, and you should see that in your email inbox now, in America. Even Tom Rosenstiel was going to be on the committee, but now he's going to be a special advisor. We've got Stephen Adler. We've got all kinds of working journalists. We've got the president of IRE, the chairman of, which is our equivalent of a president of RTDNA, the number 2 at NAHJ, the number 3, the parliamentarian at NABJ. So it's a really diverse board. And what this board, the process that Chris Roberts and I are proposing, what this SPJ board would essentially be doing now would be not voting to revise the code, but voting to authorize the ethics committee to begin the process. Now, you may be thinking, where is that in the bylaws? It's not. Technically, we could just begin that process on our own. However, we want to make everybody feel heard. We want to be as transparent as possible. And we want as much feedback and, for that matter, buy-in as possible. So the way that this would potentially work is that pending this board's approval, we would spend the year. We've already sort of laid out a potential process, Chris and I, that's Chris Roberts. We would spend the year going through the code point by point, proposing potential changes if need be, listen to feedback from all interested parties and even put it before the public. And then at the end of this SPJ board would vote on whether it approves any proposed revisions. And then this revised code would go for an up or down vote before the general membership of SPJ, which all throughout the year would have multiple opportunities to comment on any potential revisions.
Thank you, both Chris and Dan. Appreciate that. If you go to the link on the website where the board information is, you'll see the documentation from Chris and Dan. It has, a lot of what they said, but a little bit deeper on the why and the how and the timeline and such. So we don't have to read word for word right now what that says, but it's there. Definitely worth a view. As Dan was alluding to, they've requested that the board vote to approve just looking at the code. So I said at first I said, we don't need to vote on that. Let's just do it. But the more and more I hear everybody talk about buy-in and just doing it in the open, and I want everyone to know that we're talking about it from the get-go, and B, if the board buys into just looking at the code, great. It's another right step and another check mark on the process, right? And then every meeting or every other meeting, however you want to do this, there'll be a lot of communication about the process, where they're at in the timeline, what they've discussed so far, when you can get involved, and we'll have special documents and items put on the website about it, on social about it. We'll let everybody know in advance of any of these important sort of public forums and discussions that do happen. But just know that the committee also will, if the board approves and votes on it today to look into it, they'll be working hard throughout the year to see what may or may not be revised, right? So anything else, Dan or Chris, that you would like to add?
Yes, I should hasten to add that we are well aware that not just for branding purposes, but for its utility, for its reputation, and for that matter, for the fact that it is the most cited journalism ethics code worldwide, that the code is the crown jewel of the society. And we take with the utmost gravity the responsibility of potentially revising it. For example, it's only been revised this would be the 6th potential revision. And most of those revisions have come since the 70s. Obviously, it was adopted in the 20s from the ASNI code. But since the 70s, we've revised it on average every 10 years. So we're due.
Okay. So we need someone to make a motion to look at revising the code, right? And I
I
see,
will,
Patty.
Mr. President, I will move that the board okay the Ethics Committee moving forward to investigate the possibility of revising the code.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Sarah. All in favor to have the Ethics Committee move forward on investigating and looking at the code for possible revision?
Can
And
we,
we have
can we have some discussion, please?
discussion, yes.
I had two questions. I was in reading the documents that were in the board packet. It seemed like at one point it talked about that this might need to be more than 1 year process and wanting to keep the same people in place rather than, each president appointing a new chair, and then also talked about maybe that the code would need to be longer. So those, I'm not opposed in any way at looking at the code, but I do think we should maybe discuss this more than 1 year situation, as well as, I think there's a lot to be said for conciseness, and so I don't know that we should go into it thinking it needs to be longer.
Yeah, so the interesting part is obviously with every new president, there could be new committee chairs and committees. So it's one of those, if this does go past October of 2026, the work could potentially stop and be midstream and then have to pick this up again. I mean, I know with Nicole being the next president, she's also in on the idea of it, right? But I can't say for sure that she'll have the same exact structure and committees and chairs. So my note was try to get this done in the year, and not look at it as a 2-year process. I've been saying that to Dan and Chris, not to speed them along and the committee along by any means, just simply because I do have that same, you don't want to have this weird broken timeline. So Dan and Chris, please weigh in on that.
Jennifer, yeah, I think you're referring to the document that I wrote to the board just one night. And my thinking, again, I've been on the board for 11 years and have had 7 or 8 or 9 different people who have led the committee. And there just hasn't been a lot of continuity. And this is a process that's going to require continuity. If we can get it done in a year, that would be wonderful. The bonus point on this, which we haven't mentioned, is it's the centennial of the code in 2026. And having it updated for a new millennium is a great selling point if it matters for public relations or other reasons. But if it stretches into another year, our hoping is that leadership can continue to stay in place, which is what we've asked Nicole about. Ultimately, it's her decision, but to change leadership in midstream as this is going could be problematic. So the previous, when we did the code last time, Kevin Smith had been head of the ethics committee for many, many years, and the process was much more fluid, was much more consistent because he was continuing to lead that. And the other piece about how long it is, yeah, it needs to fit on a sheet of paper, doesn't it? And we'll just see where that goes. And again, I'm hoping that the other document that explains what we're talking about can better explain the few sentences, the curtness that is the code itself. But I'm not saying that's going to be 8 pages or 2 or 1 or whatever. We just need the flexibility.
So, sorry, go on, Jennifer.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And the one other thing I just thought I forgot about was it also talked about having the committee meet in person, and of course, with the financial situation that we're in, allocating money for that might be a problem.
We were able to meet over a long weekend at the Ohio State University. I will say that correctly, being at Alabama. And it was helpful for everybody to get together and know each other. I don't think it has to be done because technology is better now that Zoom is a thing that it wasn't a decade ago. If we can find a grant, and I'm a college professor thinking about grants all the time, if that can happen, that would be a good thing too.
The timeline that we have laid out for revising the code, which we created subsequent to the very eloquent outline of reasons to potentially revise the code that Chris Roberts put together, calls for the SPJ board to vote for a draft, presuming that revisions are proposed, to vote on a draft of the revised code in August, and then to put before the SPJ members for a vote the revised code in September and October. So that was sort of the timing that we had in mind. Also, I would echo, what Chris Roberts was saying, which is that we're well aware of the budget constraints, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So that's why we had begun floating the idea with Carolyn and, for that matter, with the board of potentially allocating money not just for one potential in-person meeting, as was done with the last code revision, but also for honorariums for a series of media ethics talks that would correspond with, help promote both the code and SPJ, and would fall in Media Ethics Week. And we would also have some of these media ethics related talks, not just in Media Ethics Week, but throughout the year. I should add one more thing. Of course, we are also, and I see Chandra, one of our committee members, is on this call. We are also seeking grant opportunities.
Thanks, Dan. Jennifer, did they answer everything for you? Yeah, and honestly, on the potential expenditure on any of this, there's very important SPJ Finance Committee discussions happening over the next, several weeks and couple weeks, honestly. So we won't commit to anything right now on this call. As Dan and Chris alluded to, they'll throw everything in their ideology and ask for things. But the bottom line is we're not voting on an expense right now. We're only voting on the ability to look at the code if the board agrees. So, Sarah, were you going to say something? I think you came off mute. Maybe I was mistaken.
I'm good.
Okay, good. Anybody else discussion on this potential vote here? Okay, board, thank you. So there was a motion from Patty and there was a second from Sarah. So now we have all in favor to support looking at a possible code revision.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Passes. And
Very much.
May I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we got the vote right. I saw that Michelle, you just joined a couple minutes ago. I'm not sure if Michelle voted as well. So I just want to make sure we got the vote right.
Let's see, Michelle, am I missing her? Oh, yeah, she's at the top of my list there.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the beginning of the proposal, so I didn't want to make a vote and not know. So I came in the middle. So
Okay.
Well,
So
we had voted on after a discussion, of course, on the board charging the ethics committee with looking at the SPJ code of ethics for potential and possible revision. It's just giving them the go ahead as a board to say, look at it. Maybe they come back with changes, maybe they don't. But that was kind of what we've been discussing for the last, 20 minutes or so.
and it was sent in the packet.
Yeah.
okay, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Michelle, this would be done with the goal of a 1-year timeline. We would also be revising the interactive code, which are the pop-up links that you click on online to get additional resources and position papers on the code. This doesn't entail any expense, although we are potentially going to, ask for perhaps, we are sensitive to SPJ's finances, if possible, money to have a meeting together. But yeah, we intend to fully, transparently, inclusively revise the code to make all stakeholders feel heard, because we know that not through any fault of the past code revision committees, but at times folks haven't felt like their voice was fully heard. So this would be done with regular updates to the board and in consultation with key SPJ members. And I believe I also did just email you our blue ribbon panel of folks, including the RTDNA president, the IRE president, and the top members of NAHJ and NABJ.
Thanks again, Dan and Chris. Appreciate that early work and communication, and really just steadfast ability to want to tell and share and work with everyone. So we appreciate that, and looking forward to the discussions ahead. I know they'll be passionate. I know everyone will have great opinions. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle or what you say. We're open to everyone's perspective on this, and we'll leave it to Dan and Chris to run the show. And really, thank you to the committee as well. Blue Ribbon, All-Star, whatever you want to call them. They're incredibly talented, and have all achieved a lot. So moving on the agenda. Treasurer's report from Sarah Catania.
Thanks, Chris. I'm happy to be back for a second consecutive one-year term as treasurer of the SPJ Society. What I have for you today is primarily an overview of the Finance Committee's plans. That's one of the primary duties that I hold in my role as treasurer. The bulk of the financial reporting will be shared at our next meeting, which will be on December 19th. That's the next full board meeting. The top line story of the Finance Committee is that in partnership with staff and SPJ leadership, we will continue to build on the foundation we laid in 2025, grounded in transparency, with an eye towards supporting a stable financial future for the society. A little bit about the committee itself. Returning committee members are President Vaccaro, Vice President Decrecio, Cheryl Estrada, who is senior writer at Fortune and co-chair of the Future of Finance, Matt Hall, who is SPJ Foundation VP, Patty Newberry, who is SPJ Director at Large. We also have two new members. Welcome to Ernest Owens, who is SPJ Director at Large, and Michelle Watson, SPJ Director at Large. I want to really express my gratitude to all of the Finance Committee members for your close participation in this process. The past year was very successful, and I'm going to share a few of our accomplishments over the past year and our commitments for the year moving forward, and also extend a warm welcome to Ernest and Michelle. We're really delighted to have you join us in this very important work. So the progress that we made 2025, we went from quarterly meetings to monthly meetings, including close oversight of the Media Fest budget, from no visibility into SPJ finances to meaningful transparency in the form of top-line summaries that are accessible to non-finance people, many of whom are members of SPJ. Many of our SPJ members are not finance people, but are very interested in understanding the finances of our organization. These top-line summaries include narrative and pie charts. They're included in the board packets and also on the SPJ website. We went from siloed activities around our finances by staff, the society, and the foundation to a partnership grounded in collaboration, respect, and intellectual rigor, with the shared goal of forging a path to financial health for the society. Regarding finances, what I can share with you today is that the 2024 Form 990 filing is complete and filed on time before the November 15 deadline. The Finance Committee in its current form, as I just described to you, will hold our first meeting a week from today, November 21st. At that time, we will review the financials for Media Fest and SPJ as a whole. We will also review the 2026 SPJ budget and the most recent SPJ audit. We'll have our second meeting December 18, the day before the next full board meeting. We'll tie up any loose ends. And as mentioned earlier, I will have a financial reporting update at that next full board meeting. Any questions?
Thank you, Sarah. I don't have any questions, but if anybody else does, please. Okay. Moving on to Caroline Henry's Executive Director Report.
I'm going to keep this very brief. I'm so sorry we lost time at the outset. There were technical problems, and so I'm really going to try to keep this tight. It was great seeing people. We're being joined now by Nicole, just joined us. Okay. So it was great seeing everyone in DC. I had met most of the board. I had met Sarah in person. That was our first time meeting, and that was really great. Meeting so many members in person, just loved it. We had SPJ HQ was responsible for certain parts of the convention, including the membership meetings, which I felt were very, we really celebrated our chapters, our members. I think the receptions were the same. We did 2 receptions, the society reception and the foundation reception. Both were very focused on celebrating our community with awards and recognition. I think that's a really important part of coming together. And so I'm really glad that happened. It was a new format and it seemed to go over well. We got good feedback. So the election proceeded smoothly, so we were happy about that. And looking ahead, we have a hotel broker who has put out a request for proposals for hotels to find a venue for next fall. We have a deadline of next week for those proposals. We hope we'll get some good ones. So there'll be more to come about that in the coming weeks. I also am pleased to say that we had reached out to our members to inquire about whether they're interested in serving on any committees, and we got a really nice response. The deadline was Monday, and so we have well over 60 members who expressed interest in different committees, multiple committees. Often they understand that some of the committees are not accepting new members at this time, but we still were delighted to see that outflow of interest, and we're going to be disseminating that information to the committee chairs. So that's happening. We have a lot going on advocacy. We have public appearances coming up. As Chris mentioned, the programming committee is getting started, and I've got a number of events I'm going to be doing related to that. So I'm excited about that. Membership, as you all know, we've been kind of on an upward trend on that, and that is continuing. I can share my screen just for a minute to kind of show you the kind of thing that we shared. This is over, starting back from early April when we moved to our new, can you all see that, by the way? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we moved to our new membership platform that we are, experiencing a lot more success with, that we're rising, and we have a lot of work to do, but we're very pleased that we have positive momentum, and we're really committed to keeping that going. So I welcome any questions, and at this time from any board members, starting out with board members. So
Yes.
Chris, Patty has her hand up.
Thank you. Carolyn, can you tell us any more about the possibility for a fall 2026 convention? Are you, for example, just putting out RFPs in a particular city, or accepting RFPs from a particular city, just as much as you are able to share at this point?
Right. Well, yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. We got advice from the event specialist that you shouldn't go out to too many cities, but we really want kind of heartland locations. Some of the feedback that we had gotten from attendees and those who couldn't attend the most recent conference was, boy, that those hotel rates were really high, which they really are in coastal cities. It's very hard to find group rates that many people would feel affordable. So we feel like it's really great to kind of look more toward the center of the country. And so we have a short list of cities that we, about 6 or 7 cities that we have asked for proposals from, for, hotel venues in those cities. So
Name some of those cities.
what's that?
Can you name some of those cities?
Yeah, sure. We have no idea what kind of response we're going to get. So, big caveat there. So everything from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma as well, Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, San Antonio again. We were in San Antonio back, I believe it was 2019, Minneapolis, Tucson, Arizona, and Kansas City, Missouri. That's the list right now. And we'll have a much better sense a week from now whether we're getting any yeses, but that's what we're looking at right now. Any other questions?
There is one question in the chat from Hazel Becker. Do your membership numbers include associates who are not SPJ members?
Well, that is, I'm glad you asked that, Hazel. That just came to my attention that it does include those. So it's a really interesting question. And that's about, and I don't have a lot of history in it, and my staff can attest to the fact I've had some interesting conversations with folks about that this week. So yes, there are, I can tell you exactly how many. Right now, there are 420 associates. Yeah. Yes. Any other questions?
What percentage in the membership numbers reflect returning versus new members?
I don't have that information at my fingertips. We could look at that. I'd have to do an analysis, and I don't have that at my fingertips.
Okay. Yeah, that came in on the chat from Sue.
Yeah. No, good. It's a good question.
Oh yeah, for sure. I had somebody ask that at Media Fest too. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a membership analysis at the end of the year, maybe look at what makes up the entire number, and we're setting our goals. I mean, we need that number over 5,000, and then higher from there, right? So, no, good questions. So, anything else for Caroline? Cool. Okay.
Caroline, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. I really appreciate it.
Bob Becker, among the associates, it would be good to check how many qualify to be members but have chosen to pay only $20. Yeah, again, I think looking at the data, look at the data to tell the story, it would be great to get all that information. By the end of the year, maybe we could look at that. So, or start the new year fresh in our first meeting after the new year. So, good notes, good commentary. Thank you, Caroline and staff. So that brings us to our public comment period. How do we do this in the past? I mean, I've been on these many times, but is it raise your hand, leave a comment in the thread? Like, what do we do here for this? It's not like you could submit a paper like a school board meeting and go to the podium.
I think it would be great if people wouldn't mind just using the Zoom raise your hand, because it's very easy to see for your sake, because we do have a rather large meeting right now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I'm going to keep it orderly.
So that might be good if people can use the raise hand
or put something in the chat. Both of them are visible. And if you want to have a public comment. There was a note in the chat from Chris Tyree, not necessarily a comment, a question, just a document for next time or when we get into these membership items, but thoughts on tiered rates for news orgs to support memberships for their employees. So, something to consider. But going once for public comment, going twice. Okay. That's great. No worries there. Any
Oh.
old, oh, go ahead. I
Just a
missed-
quick question. I know that the amounts of reimbursement for travel had changed at one time. And so are the numbers that are in the packet current or are they a different number?
Caroline,
Yes.
you're muted.
Yep. So we changed it on the website, but the board policy manual still has the old ones. So that is a good point. But on the website, we updated that. Yeah. But the board policy manual needs to be updated. I figured with a new budget year starting, that's one of the things that's up for, discussion for the finance committee and then the full board. So rather than, go through a whole change of the board policy manual right now, it seemed like let's wait to figure out what it is this coming year.
Thank you.
All right. So that is public comment. Old or new business? Anybody got anything from the past or anything to consider that's new? Okay. One adjustment on the agenda, the board orientation is not something that the rest of anybody beyond the board needs to be a part of. So we want to move that board orientation into executive session. And then we have one legal matter to discuss in executive session. So if there's no old or new business and no public comment, then would like to make a motion to go into executive session. Or would somebody make a motion to go into executive session?
I can make a motion.
Great. I think that was
I will second the motion.
second by Patty. Any discussion on that one? No? All in favor to go into executive session? Of course, we will come back after executive session to actually adjourn the meeting, but you don't have to wait because I don't believe we'll have anything to report back on. More importantly, thank you for everybody who did attend. If you did not attend and you have a friend or a colleague in SPJ that would like to share the link to this or any of the board materials, please share that web URL with them because I think this is a great discussion, especially on the ethics side, obviously. So we'll go into executive session now, but thank you very much to SPJ World for joining us and looking forward to a really impactful year ahead with everybody. And board, stay on the call.